What is static in C#? This is a question that's asked during C# interviews. A class that contains static members, like a static method or a static property, those static members are on the type and not the object. A static class is a class that cannot be instantiated. You can't use the new operator to create an instance of the object. Okay, what the heck does that mean? All right, let's take a look here. So this here is a regular class, and there's nothing static in here about it. It's got a book collection. We've got 3 methods on there. In our main program here, we are adding books to the one object and adding a single book to the other object and printing out information on there. So let's take a quick look here. So in library 1, we added 2 books. Book count is 2. In library 2, we added 1 book, clean code. Book collection right here is owned by the object and not by the type. So each one of the objects, library 1, library 2, has its own book collection. But if we want to share this book collection across all objects, then what we want to do is add the static keyword, which will then make this field static. Now, every time we add a book, regardless of which object, it's going to be added to this shared book collection. Let's run this code. Now you can see here, library 1 has a book count of 3, and library 2 has a book count of 3, and they contain the same exact books. In our previous example, book collection was a private field, but what about public fields? Being able to have other classes access these values. So when you add the static keyword to a property or to a method, the way you access it is through the type. So in this situation, it's my class, and then you know, the regular way, number to get the property, or if you wanted to do the method, you would just do the type name my class dot get string. You would not instantiate a new instance and then put dot number, right? That's invalid. You'd get an error here. It says cannot access static property number in a non-static context. And you'd get the same situation with the method get string. Cannot access static method get string in a non-static context. How about access? Non-static members can access static members, but static members cannot access non-static members. In this situation, let's create the scenarios to play out what we just talked about here. So if I have a method that is non-static, a regular method, so let's just have it do something, right? And I want to access number. So let's set it a value of 1. That's okay. Non-static, accessing static. That's okay. But the other way around is not true. Let's create a public integer, let's say instance integer. We'll make it a property. So now let's go into the static method and try to access the instance integer. All right, so let's go instance integer, which is right there, and let's try to set it a value, and you'll get an error. Cannot access non-static property instance integer in a static context. So up until now, we've been talking about static members within a class. But now what if the class is static? Well, a static class just means that all the members within the class are static. You can't have any non-static stuff in there. So looking at the example we have here, we have some non-static members in here. And I were to change this to a static class, we'll actually get an error, right? This one here is a non-static property. You gotta get rid of that or change it to static. And then this method here. So once you get rid of that, you've got yourself a static class. Now, static classes cannot be instantiated. You can't use the new operator here. So if I were to try to do that here, you would get an error. Can't do it. Now here's some bonus stuff here. Static classes are by default sealed, so you can't inherit a static class. You can see here I've got my static class 1, and you're trying to inherit it. Can't do it. Also, you can't inherit to a static class. So here's my class right here, which is not static, and you can't inherit that to a static class. Where would you use static classes? Static classes are ideal for utility or helper classes where instance data is not needed. Math class is a class we probably all have used. That one's static. You could also use the static class to create a singleton design pattern. However, that's not ideal because you lose all the benefits of polymorphism, but it is possible. All right, that's it. You'll be able to answer that interview question now. See you in the next video.